Are you looking into moving into London but wanting to know which area is the safest? Hi, my name is Fernan from Solutions Abroad, and let me show you how you can build a very simple Power BI report that can help you answer that and more. First, we need to find the data that we want to use. The London Data Store website is a free open source website that provides a set of good quality dataset for crimes committed in London, categorized by Borough for the past 24 months. This type of dataset is perfect for us because it lets us connect to the dataset live. That means that when the dataset gets updated, so does our Power BI report. What you want to do is copy the download URL and connect to it using Power BI Desktop. If you don't have Power BI installed yet, download it for free from the Power BI website. This creates a live connection between our Power BI report and the dataset. That means that when the dataset gets updated, so does our Power BI report. Let's clean this data up a little bit to make it usable for our purposes. First thing we need to do is promote these first rows into headers. Power BI is usually very good at automatically detecting first rows of headers, but in this case it didn't, so let's fix that first. Next, we want to unpivot these date columns into rows so we can use them and convert them into dates. You can unpivot a column in two ways, but what I suggest you to do is select the columns that are not the dates and select unpivot other columns. This makes sure that Power BI does not reference any date columns in its code when the data gets updated later on. Next, we want to convert this attribute column into a date column. To do that, we first need to split these into years and months and then re-merge them with an actual delimiter. Finally, we want to suffix London into all the borough names to make sure that Power BI knows that these places are places within London and nowhere else. Don't delete the original column though, as we'll need that for our visuals later. Let's finish this up by converting the columns into their appropriate data types. Set the namings to something more recognizable, and also don't forget to rename your query. Now we have a very basic dataset that we can use to create some visual reports. Let's start by adding a map visual to this report to see the number of crimes committed per borough. Before we can do that, we want to make sure that the area that we modified earlier is categorized as a place. We're basically telling Power BI to treat this as a location. Now this gives you a map of London and its boroughs, summing up all the total crimes committed for the past 24 months. Maybe we don't want to look that far back. Let's add a page level filter so that we can only see the crimes committed this year. A page level filter is something that you're going to want to have in your report if you're going to have multiple visuals that will be filtering the same way. It just avoids duplication. Next, we want to be able to filter based on the crime type. Let's say burglary or theft. Let's add a slicer visual to the report. When I have a small number of options for my slicer visual, I tend to convert this into a horizontal slicer. It just feels more intuitive and it decreases the amount of clicks the user has to make in order to make a selection. However, if I had more options, I will use a drop down instead just to save some space. Maybe we want to know what types of crimes are committed the most. Let's add a pie chart and add the crime types with the number of crimes committed. This pie chart now gives us a total number of crimes committed, categorized by the types of crime committed. Don't forget that it only shows the total number of crimes committed this year because of the page level filter that we added earlier. This is a bit too many types for a single pie chart. So let's filter it to only show the top 3 crimes committed. Then we probably would want to know which areas are the safest. So let's add a clustered bar chart to show that. Again, for this one, this shows the total number of crimes committed across all the boroughs in London, which maybe is something that you would want, but in this case, we want to just focus on the safest boroughs. So let's filter this out by selecting the top 5 safest boroughs. This means the boroughs that have the least number of crimes reported. The visuals in this report cross-filters automatically. This means when you click a visual, say the map, you will see that it changes the visuals for the pie chart and the bar chart as well. However, when I click around this map, the filters doesn't make sense for the pie chart and the bar chart. So let's change that. Make sure that the map visual is selected, hit edit interactions, and select the slicer instead of the highlight. The report is pretty much done. But let's do a bit of cleaning up just to make it look a little bit prettier. First, let's add a meaningful title to this report. London Borough Crime Analysis. Let's remove the header for this slicer since that's a bit redundant. We know that these are types of crimes committed. Let's also rename the map. Total crimes committed by borough. Maybe let's even edit the color of the bubbles to further illustrate which boroughs have the lowest number of crimes and which boroughs have the highest number of crimes. Same with the pie chart. Let's rename the title to Top Crimes Committed. Rename the bar chart title to the safest boroughs in London. Let's also do some formatting on the axes. I normally hide the X and Y axes and replace them with data labels, just because it focuses a lot more on the data as opposed to the visual clutter. Lastly, let's add a page title, Crime Overview, and don't forget to save the Power BI report. And that's it. Now you have a Power BI report that tells you which boroughs are the safest and gives you an overview of the entirety of London. You can use the filter above to see the types of crimes committed and how many in each borough. You can select an area in the map and this gives you an overview of that area, and it also gives you the top crimes committed for that area. You can also compare between boroughs by holding Control and selecting multiple areas from the map. It even ranks it in the bar chart below. The best thing is that this report is live. That means when the London Data Store website updates this dataset with the new month's data, our report will be able to refresh with no problem. You can do this by hitting the refresh button from your Power BI report. We can even automate this further by setting an automated refresh schedule, but this requires Power BI Online. Maybe I will show you how you can do that in another video. I'm linking the dataset that I used in the description box below. If you have any suggestions or feedback, get in touch. Thanks.